I am considering dealing with some debt reduction. I am not considering $50,000 debt reduction, but I'm in the process of taking a hard look at whether or not there will be additional debt forgiveness.
Joe Biden's talking about the debt forgiveness, student loan debt forgiveness that has been bounced around ever since he was running. And now he's making sure everyone knows, hey, we're not talking about a $50,000 mark. Hey, let's calm down with all that talk here. Now, he's doing all this. He wants to make sure, of course, these reporters know and the country knows, hey. Am I gonna do something for you guys? Calm down. He did reject that whole proposal because Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, those types of folks are pushing him on this. But there was more context to his rejection there and a little bit of a dig at Chuck Schumer for continuing to push this at him. Watch the full context here.
Majority Leader Schumer said yesterday that you're, quote, getting closer to using executive authority to cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt. Can you confirm that? What exactly are you looking to plan to do here in the coming
You mean my
months?
spokesman said that?
Majority Leader Schumer.
Look, number one, first thing we did was reform the system that was in place that didn't work for anybody, that allowed people to write off debt if they engaged in public service. We have almost 1,785,000, don't hold me the exact number, I'll get the number, 700 and some thousand have had debt forgiven, their whole debt forgiven because of their working in either as teachers or other means by which they qualify. And we continue to make that easier. Secondly, I am considering dealing with some debt reduction. I am not considering $50,000 debt reduction.
So some, and he also detailed some of the ways that he's also had some forgiveness for certain people in certain occupations and backgrounds that they've done. So there's been some level of, he wants to make sure he's done something. You guys know this for sure, but he's squirming now when it comes to all this back and forth about the 50,000 and maybe being more broad in this approach. What is it that Chuck Schumer said that has him this squirmy? Watch.
Imagine being closer to retirement than to college and realizing you've only made a dent in your student loans. Millions of borrowers of color, millions more of borrowers in general, live with this reality. Once again, borrowers don't need their debts paused, they need them erased. This isn't just the right thing to do for our economy, it's the right thing to do for racial equity, and I'll keep urging the president to take this important step. And I say to my colleagues, I think the president's moving in our direction. My talks with him and his staff have been very fruitful over the last little while, and I am hopeful that he will do the right thing. We're getting closer, we're getting closer.
It was slow, it was gravelly, it was a bit boring, but what Chuck Schumer there is saying, as of course he mentions the racial inequities within our country and access to college and also the debt that's incurred by so many people that then ever can't get out of it. And then we have these opportunity barriers, specifically with minority communities. That's one thing not Chuck Schumer, but Joe Biden doesn't want to get put on the hook for ignoring. There's a little bit more of that pressure. And then also he says, we've been having talks, I feel like we're getting somewhere. That's a suggestion that Joe Biden better do something or else me telling you this is gonna expose him as a liar. These are pressure tactics and that's what's pushing Joe Biden to the brink here. Now, let's go down a graphic to you guys because this is what could possibly also be happening, and it's why Biden's kind of pushing this around. This is what I was thinking. I'm glad there's a bit of a confirmation here. So the Biden administration pushed back this ongoing COVID-19 related federal student loan moratorium until August 31st. When that happened, this was the thought in my head too. The timing feeds into theories that the Biden administration might plan to use this issue to revitalize Democratic enthusiasm and voter turnout ahead of the midterms. 100%. And just yesterday, the CBS and the Washington Post both reported that the president held a lengthy meeting with the Congressional Hispanic Caucus on Monday, reportedly expressing openness to canceling tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt in the coming months, perhaps through executive action, as I was saying. So, Dan, I think we're getting to midterm type of talk. And did you see what I just did for you about a month ago? Time for you to vote Democratic. I feel like that's the push that's going. And if he does it too soon, people are gonna forget about it, be happy, and then you're like, oh yeah, but back to these Republicans, let's vote them in.
I absolutely agree with you that this seems to be the strategy that Democrats and Joe Biden are owning in on. I just definitely would like to caution folks a little bit with getting too excited here, because at the end of the day, this is Joseph Robinette Biden we're dealing with. I've covered this a lot on Good Morning Bad News on TikTok about the student debt crisis and how easy it is for Joe Biden to cancel all the student debt. There's a legal issue surrounding his ability to do so, and of course it'll be challenged because there's a massive student debt servicing industry that is reliant on making sure that the student debt still exists, or else it can no longer build stadiums in the black area of Los Angeles. So they're definitely really going to need to make sure that the student debt system ecosystem still exists and thrives. Shout out SoFi Stadium there for those people who didn't get that. But I think what we're going to have to realize here is that what Joe Biden has typically done, and Chuck Schumer, I've been paying attention to this the whole time. Chuck Schumer has been pressuring Joe Biden, has been telling us that, listen, Joe Biden seems like he's been ignoring leftist issues, but there are people like myself, people like Bernie Sanders, people like Elizabeth Warren who are in Joe Biden's ear, and Joe Biden's shown that he's willing to listen to that side of the party. And what I hear from Chuck Schumer is a lot of the same talk we heard that tried to get Democrats or people on the left in the Democratic Party on the side of Joe Biden, leading up to the 2020 election, saying, listen, we know he's your moderate guy, but come on, go ahead and vote for him. And listen, we've seen the past year and a half, and we've seen them try to say, look at this child tax credit that we did. Look at the record job growth that we have right now, when people aren't feeling it in the economy. And not only are people not feeling it, but they're insulted by the fact that it seems like Democrats aren't offering them anything, or they're offering them too little and telling them, okay, and now's the time to vote for us again, because or else the Republicans are gonna be worse. When even though the Republicans are worse, there are things that they're doing that are sometimes catching people in the dragnet where they're winning Democrats over. And then there's a lot of people who are just sick of the political process altogether. See the Democrats not doing anything for them, see the Republicans actively working against them, and they've decided to give up, which I see a lot of. And Democrats need to fight against this by doing something like massive student debt relief. The thing I worry about is that Joe Biden goes too little too late. He pushes us up to the midterms. He has all the attention. He gets people, and all the arguments are out there to just go all the way, cancel 50,000, cancel all of it, and have a robust plan for college students after the fact, because these colleges are still gonna collect student loans after it gets canceled or whatever. So you have to have a plan for that. But knowing Joe Biden, it's probably gonna be some $10,000 here or means tested there. And Democrats are going to put the spotlight on themselves to underdeliver, which is only gonna give Republicans more ammo.
That's usually the way these things go. And then people criticize it and they'll be like, why are you guys infighting? And then they'll lose anyway. It's a bit of the way it's a fearful approach. And I get there's a lot of layers to it, because there's barriers to ending these things as you're talking about the massive industry that it is.